What's going on, everybody? American Football Network here with another video today. And today we're bringing you guys our Virginia Tech preview prediction video. But before we get started, make sure you guys like and subscribe, comment those thoughts and opinions down below. Let me reach that goal of 1,400 subscribers by the end of July. We're about, I think, 60 away. So let's get rolling on that. Help us hit that goal. We appreciate all of you guys. Check out the description for links to our shop, podcast website, patron page, and our college football roundup channel. But let's go ahead and get started with today's video. So we're on Virginia Tech. A good season for them last year compared to what it's been in the past. Good second year under Brent Pry. They went 7-6, and this one after a rough year in his first year. Had a win over Old Dominion and lost 3 straight to Purdue, at Rutgers, at Marshall. Then they made the switch to Kyron Jones, I believe, after the Marshall game. Beat Pittsburgh, lost to Florida State, beat Wake Forest, beat Syracuse, lost at Louisville, beat Boston College, lost to NC State, beat Virginia, and beat Tulane in the Military Bowl. So good turnaround for Virginia Tech there at the end of the season after going 1-3 in their first 4. They then finished out the season at 6-3 in their last 9. And I expect more good stuff out of them this season as they return 8 starters defensively, all 11 on the offense. And you look at recruiting, they're getting better recruiting. And Kyron Jones may be the best quarterback in the ACC. Now, I don't think he is, but he definitely could show that this season. I think he's somewhere around 3 or 4. But again, like I said, I do think that he could end up being the best quarterback in the ACC after this season. As a matter of fact, Virginia Tech is my dark horse for a playoff. They could potentially win the ACC. When you look at the teams that are in front of them in the ACC, I'm just going to go by what Athlon has the ACC standings at, and just go through there and give my thoughts. So number 1 is Florida State. All right, you look at Florida State. Who knows what they're going to be? They lose a lot. They bring in so much. They're probably going to have a pretty good season. But could Virginia Tech finish ahead of them? Yes. You look at Clemson, who they have at number 2. Clemson coming off a pretty down year last year for what we're used to out of them. They have a lot of uncertainty, particularly at quarterback and wide receiver. Could Virginia Tech reasonably finish over them? Yes. You look at Miami. Miami has not been a very good team these last few years. Have they improved talent-wise all over the field? Yes, but we know who Mario Cristobal is. He's a much better recruiter than he is an actual coaching game. So could Virginia Tech reasonably finish above them? Yes, they could. You look at Louisville at number 4, they lose a ton of production offensively. They lose a lot. Could Virginia Tech finish ahead of them? Yeah, they could. You look at NC State, they also lose a lot, but they bring in a good amount as well. They have a good head coach in Dave Doran. They always do pretty good, but could Virginia Tech finish ahead of them? Yeah, I mean they definitely could finish ahead of them. So it's not likely, but you can make a reasonable case for Virginia Tech to end up in the ACC championship game and potentially even win the ACC championship game, which would put them in the college football playoff, which is just crazy to think, because if you told somebody 3 years ago that, walk up to them, hey, in 3 years, Virginia Tech's going to have a shot at the college football playoff, you would have laughed in their face and told them they're crazy. But it's true. Virginia Tech can reasonably make it this year, and I think they're going to have a great season. Kyron Jones and this rushing attack is elite. You look at Jalen Lane on the outside at wide receiver. He may end up having the best season of all these receivers in the ACC. I think he sits somewhere kind of like on the second team All ACC list, but I could see him as a first team conference wide receiver. And the secondary for this team, they bring back all 5 starters, and all of them are seniors, other than Mansour Delane, who is a junior. They're all very talented ball hawks. And on the D line, you do lose 2 of your 4, and at linebacker, you lose 1 of your 2 guys. So a few pieces lost defensively, but offensively, man, bringing back every starter is huge. Ali Jennings Jr. at wide receiver also going to be a big threat, as well as Daquan Felton, Stephen Gosnell. They have some playmakers on the outside. They have an elite quarterback, and they have a very good running game as well that really powered them in the second half of the season last year. I expect big things out of Virginia Tech this year. So let's go ahead and jump into their schedule, see what I have them going this year. So week one, start out at Vanderbilt. This is going to be a win. They're going to destroy Vanderbilt. Vandy just doesn't have the talent to compete with Virginia Tech. They're just, a bad team. Then in week two, you get Marshall. You lost to them last year on the road 24-17. That ain't happening again. Yeah, that's not happening again. Grant Wells is not your quarterback this year. Kyron Drones is, and Virginia Tech will win this football game. Then you go on the road to Old Dominion. This is going to be another win. Again, Old Dominion just doesn't have talent to compete with Virginia Tech. These are three good games to start out the season to get rid of some of the early season growing pains, get everything molded together nicely, and get into the tougher part of your schedule. Week four, you get Rutgers. Again, this is a win. This is a game that could be somewhat close. Rutgers did beat you last year, 35-16. This could be a closer game, but I don't think it's going to be much of a problem for Virginia Tech. I think they're going to win this game 10 plus points. I think it's one that could be close for about 2.5 quarters, but I see Virginia Tech pulling away in the end. Then you go on the road to Miami. This is going to be a loss. Miami is a very solid team. They bring in Cam Ward at quarterback along with a bunch of other transfers. They have a ton of talent on that field, on that team. And I feel like for me, this is the first game all season where you can say, okay, Virginia Tech doesn't have the better quarterback. I would take Kyron Drones over any of the other four they've played, but I do have to go with Cam Ward in this game. And to me, that's going to be the difference is just the quarterback play. Um, both of these teams have a lot of talent all over the field, but I feel like Cam Ward is going to be able to make plays to win the game for his team that Kyron Drones isn't going to make in this game. I think that this is where Virginia Tech will get their first loss. Then you go on the road to Stanford. This will be a tough one, especially if you lose that Miami game. You're coming off a loss, traveling cross country, going to be a shorter week. But I'm just not a fan of Stanford. I think that Virginia Tech handles business in this game. I just don't think that Stanford has a whole lot, especially particularly playmakers on the outside. Now um, they do have Alec Iamaner, but I feel like especially when you're Virginia Tech, you have a veteran secondary with playmakers in the backfield for you. I feel like they're going to be able to contain him. They're not going to stop him because nobody is this year, but they're going to contain him, especially considering he's Stanford's only real threat. I don't see a problem in this game for Virginia Tech. Then you get a bye week, then Boston College at home. This will be a win. A good thing that you get the long week, the off week right after the long trip out to Stanford. Be a short week preparing for that game, then a shorter week for the next week if you had one with the flight. I would assume um, probably don't get back till late Sunday night, but this is a game that I think Virginia Tech handles business, especially with this bye week right before. Let the bodies rest and recover, get back adjusted to the East Coast time zone. And they're going to go out, they're going to destroy Boston College like they did last year, 48-22. But this will be a game of two fun quarterbacks to watch. Kyron Drones makes a lot of stuff happen, a lot of running around. Thomas Castellanos does just as much, if probably double the amount of running around as Kyron Drones does and just making plays and magic happen. He's going to bust a few in this game, but Virginia Tech's going to come out on top in the end. Then you get Georgia Tech at home. This is another win. This is one I could see Virginia Tech potentially losing. Georgia Tech is going to be a solid team this year. They have a good quarterback, Haynes King. I feel like both of these quarterbacks are pretty even. The difference for me in this game is that defense of Virginia Tech. I think that the Georgia Tech's defense is going to have a bit of a harder time stopping just all the ways that Virginia Tech's offense can punch you. And I feel like Virginia Tech is going to be able to slow down the Yellow Jackets offense a little bit better and pull out about a 10, 13 plus point win. Something not too crazy, not too big of a margin, but a solid win. Then you go on the road to Syracuse. Again, this is another game I could see you losing. You beat them last year 38-10, but this is a new Syracuse team this year, a better Syracuse team this year. But I don't think you will lose this one. I have this as a win for the Hokies. I just think that you're the better team. You're better coached. You have a better quarterback, just better playmakers on the outside. To me, is the difference in this one. Now, you are going to have um, you are going to have to worry about Orondo Gadsden. which is going to be a tough cover for anybody on this team. But I feel like Virginia Tech has what it takes to guard him, and I feel like they have the weapons on the outside to really attack this pretty solid secondary that Syracuse has, and come away with a win. Then you go, or no, you get Clemson at home this year. Um, Again, this is a game that I think you can win, but I do have this game as a loss. I expect Clemson to be better this year. Their receiving core is the best it's been in 3 or 4 years, and it looks like we saw a lot of positive signs out of Cade Klubnik last year, a lot of bad ones as well, but a lot of growing steps from him last year, and I expect even more this year. I think he's going to be a very good quarterback this year. I think that the wide receivers for Clemson are vastly improved, and I think that's going to be the difference in this game. And even if they don't play well enough, I feel like between the running game for Clemson and the defense that they have, they're going to be able to stop Virginia Tech and keep this to a lower scoring game if needed, if their offense can't get rolling. But this is one that is going to be an electric atmosphere. As a Clemson fan, I want to go to this game. I want to go see Virginia Tech. I've been up there one time before. Me and my buddy, the football expert, make sure you guys check his channel out. He's a Notre Dame fan. We went up there a few years ago. I think back in 2021, it was up there for Notre Dame, Virginia Tech, a night game. And that was, people say Clemson has the best entrance in college football. As a Clemson fan, I have to disagree. I think a night game at Lane Stadium when it's packed out and they're playing Enter Sandman, that is just chills. It was the coolest entrance to a football game I've ever seen in my life. Clemson's a close second, but Virginia Tech's got them beat. That's for sure. Best entrance in college football. It was insane. So I hope I can get up there for that game. We'll see. We'll see what I can make happen. Then we get a bye week. Then we go on the road to face Duke. Virginia Tech will. I have this game as a loss. I know it comes off a bye week, but I feel like the Clemson game is going to be a close game, a tough loss. I feel like Duke is going to be a very tough team, a very physical team, just like they were under Mike Elko. That defense, they do lose a lot defensively, but Manny Diaz is a great defensive coordinator. I feel like he's going to have that defense very tight. I love Malik Murphy transferring to Duke at quarterback. I think that Duke has some playmakers on the outside. I think they have another really good running back. I'm blanking on his name. I'm blanking on the dude's name. Crap. I remember their running back from last year. He transferred into NC State, Jordan Waters. What is Duke's running back's name? Jaquez Moore. That's right, Jaquez Moore. He's a solid running back. I think he's going to have a very productive season for the Blue Devils. Um, and you look at Jordan Moore that you got out at wide receiver, I think that he's going to be a playmaker on the outside for Duke. I expect Duke to have a pretty good season of Manny Diaz's first year. I think this is a little bit of a better fit for him than Miami was, and I think that they will get the win over Virginia Tech in this one. Then the final game of the regular season for the Hokies against Virginia. I have this game as a win. I I love Tony Elliott as an offensive coordinator at Clemson. I think he's a terrible head coach at Virginia. Now, in his defense, there has been a lot of stuff going on. I mean, in his first year, there was a shooting there. They canceled half the season. So he's had a bit of a rough first step into the door at Virginia, but he hasn't really done much. I mean, last year he did okay. Went 3-9. That was a step up from what he was the year prior. But I still just, I mean, last year you beat them 55-17. Like you absolutely murdered them on the road in their building. I see a similar score here. I think in the rivalry game, Virginia Tech is going to blow the doors off of Virginia. Don't think this is going to be a close game at all. Don't see Virginia getting any sort of hope in winning this one. So overall, I have Virginia Tech at 9-3, a very good season for them. Like I said, they're my dark horse pick to make the playoff. Love Virginia Tech. Going to be watching a lot of their games this season. So appreciate all of you guys watching, you Virginia Tech fans. Let me know what you thought down in the comments below. Appreciate everybody tuning in today, and we will see you next.